Okay, so this is day 4, and it's a foggy day. It's 10:15, almost 9:42, and I am leaving Trier. What an interesting town this was. It's probably a 2-day town. I tried to cram it all into one day. I got most of it. Why am I cramming all this stuff into a short trip? Well, it's because I got to get back to Springfield, because I hope to go to New Mexico on the 20th of October. So I had to cut this trip to 10 days total. Now, one thing I guess I forgot to say was that Trier is on the Moselle River. And right now, you can't hardly see it through the clouds, but just look to the left of us is that river. Maybe you can see bits and pieces of it. Probably not. Oh well. Too foggy. Okay, here we are traveling southeast in the general direction of Mannheim on A62, Autostrada 62. We're in a national park, I believe, and it's just not very inhabited out here, just lots and lots of trees. It's very nice. The problem is the Germans are so committed to solar and windmills that they have windmills in the national park. In a number of places I've seen them. I hope we don't get to that stage, because I mean, a park is supposed to be more or less pristine, but then in Germany everything is managed. It's a beautiful, clean, organized place, but everything is carefully managed. There's some windmills off on the horizon. You can see. We may be out of the national park right now, because getting down into some valleys with some agriculture. And I mean, you know, you talk about beautiful, well-managed, groomed farms. I mean, it's kind of like Belgium that way. They don't have crap laying all over the place like we do in central Illinois. The farmers are very neat and organized. Okay, so in going to Bad Wimpfen, I decided to get off the Autostrada, Autobahn, and took a detour through a place called Neustadt an der Weinstraße, which means New City on the Wine Street. And we should be then going through wine country. And I've been through several little German villages which are somewhat picturesque, but in truth they look kind of sad. They're obviously from the 1800s and 1900s. The architecture hasn't been a lot going on since then. But anyway, so I'm now in the vicinity of Neustadt an der Weinstraße. I can't quite tell where Neustadt begins and Neustadt ends. I'm certainly not seeing anything that looks like vine. It looks like we're coming up on a castle here. Anyway, if I see something beautiful, I'll restart it. This looks like a moderately sized city.
Links abbiegen.
Links abbiegen, okay. I put the Garmin on German language because I was so annoyed by the pronunciations of the German streets when you had it set for the American language. It just annoyed me to no end. Hopefully the German language will be better. Alright, hold on a second. This is a little narrow little street here. So this is a nice, pretty little town. Neustadt on der Weinstraße. I even see a touristo or two. This kind of reminds you, these narrow streets remind one of those newsreels of World War II with the tanks going through the little German cities. Look at this, isn't this pretty? Very nice.
Ankunft am Ziel auf der linken Seite.
I'm supposed to go to the linken Seite, which means the left side. Well, isn't this nice? Yellow light. One thing that confused me is, at least in this neck of the woods, they don't have green lights. But in other words, when the red light comes to an end, well, now there's a green light. But some of these little cross streets, they don't have green lights. It's just the red light goes off. Took me a while to figure that one out. There's a legitimate red light up there. Okay, that light turned green. I had to figure out how to turn this thing into a legitimate dash cam because it's a pain holding it. Isn't this a pretty town? Neustadt, new city. I wonder when it was new. It's about like saying New York, I suppose, which was only new in, what, 1650 or something like that. Okay, that's enough, I think, of Neustadt. We're now about 10 miles outside of Neustadt, and indeed, there's a lot of agriculture out here. Lots and lots of vineyards, although, interestingly, there are not a bunch of them on the right-hand side of the road, but loads of them on the left-hand side of the road, which is hard for me to image. So anyway, we're now in the plain for sure, out of the hills. Before we were in sort of hilly wooded area on the other side of Neustadt. Some heavy duty vineyards. And what has happened here is my trusty Garmin, I told it to take me to Neustadt, which it duly did. And then it put me back on the Autobahn because it's set for the quickest, but that's okay. We got to see some Autobahn here that we otherwise would not have seen. More windmills, they're everywhere. On A62 west of Heilbronn, and there's all kinds of agriculture going on. There's not only vineyards, there are cornfields, cabbage fields, fields of things that I don't even recognize. Potato fields. All manner of things growing out here. And fields that have been plowed under, so who knows what was there before. One thing you don't see out here is soybeans. That seems to be reserved for North and South America. So there was a sign back there that said this is the Gemüsegarten, the vegetable garden of the Rheinpfalz. And I do believe it is. Now continuing that theme, I just went by a gigantic onion field, probably 20 acres, and also went by a huge wholesale market for vegetables. Interesting area. There's a cornfield over there. Feels like Illinois. By thy rivers gently flowing. Okay, so I just want to show you a little bit of the German road system here. We're on the Autobahn, about, I don't know, 30 miles outside of Heilbronn. It's 6 lanes, busy as can be, and there's not one pothole, not one expansion joint, no clickety-clack, hardly. Well, there we went over an expansion joint for a bridge. These roads are so superior to the American interstates, it's just not to be believed. That said, it's also true, of course, that the American interstate systems have to cover a whole lot more area, longer distances. I mean, we have interstates, you know, in the middle of Nebraska, places like that, where there's no places anything like that in Germany. Everything's a lot more compact. On the other hand, the traffic is heavier. Now, I have been through several construction zones where they've been rebuilding it, but it's just so superior in every way to American interstates. It's what's the word? Disappointing, I guess, that we can't do better. Of course, we have a massive defense budget, and the Germans have a very small one because they rely on the Americans to defend them, and with the money they save, they build nice roads. I think they're smarter than we are. If you got a big brother who will do your fighting for you, you don't have to walk around with a stick. Let him carry the stick. Anyway, thought you'd like to see the German interstate system. A6 west of Heilbronn. So, this is Bad Wimpfen. It's the remains of a Hohenstaufen castle built, I think, by Barbarossa. I'm not sure. We've got to get the guidebook. But anyway, this is the place where famously Frederick II met with his son Henry, who had led a revolt against the Holy Roman Emperor and his dad, and he made the son lie face down on the floor for 3 or 4 hours before he'd even talk to him. I mean, the son was really a bad lad. He revolted twice with the barons of Germany against his dad. He ended up in a dungeon in Italy, and when he was being moved from one dungeon to another, he was riding on a horse under guard. He spurred his horse and went into the chasm, killing himself. Not a good son, for sure. So this is going to be kind of like Assisi. We're going to go up to the Historische Altstadt, and there are some remains of this castle up here. And when I'm all done, I'm going to come back down and get my hotel stuff. But I'm going to go see the castle right now because it's 2 o'clock, and I'm afraid if I fool around with the hotel, things will close. By the way, that's Wimpfen in Tal in the valley. And down there is a river. That's the Neckar River. This is not quite as laborious as San Marino, but then again, I'm several years older and even more out of shape. So I gotta take it easy as I go up here, lest I have the big one. So one of the things that's left is that tower. I forget which tower that is, the blue tower or the red tower. And there's another one. And basically, if you look at the aerial photo of the town, you can tell exactly the outlines of the ancient castle. I'll get some more information from the tourist information place. Uh-oh. No, I'm not going to walk down. Just got to keep walking up. So my plan is to walk up and go through that door. Right there. That one. Now I'm wondering, as I walk up, if maybe we're looking at some original castle walls. They certainly look like castle walls to me. We'll find out. I screwed up. That was my door back there, but I'll go this way. It takes me into the town, and if you see that tower there, I mean the spire is later, but the tower is part of the original castle. When I drove into this town, I screwed up and got right into the middle of town, and it was an effort getting out and getting down to the train station, where I parked for the princely sum of €2 a day. You don't get a better bargain than that anywhere. Now this is interesting. See those pillars up there? Those are the original walkway up there. Now it looks like some of the pillars have been replaced over time, but some of them are the originals. And you know that Frederick II walked along those pillars looking out over the Neckar Valley. I mean, is this cool or what? Now I must admit, I didn't know anything about this place until, in preparing for this trip, I got an old history of the Holy Roman Empire, which was old. I mean, it was 1965 or something like that, and it had a picture of these pillars from this castle, and I said, my God, I gotta go see that place. And I added it to my list. And here I am. So here is the view over the Neckar Valley. Of course, back when the castle was here, there wouldn't have been that huge power plant or whatever that is over there, and there wouldn't have been this warehouse. There may well have been a bridge. And if you can look off in the distance, There's a church that's been there for many, many years. All right, continuing up. Plaque talking about the meeting between Henry VII and his father Frederick II on the 2nd of July, 1235. I'll have to translate that. Something about something happening in Worms. Anyway, I think it's saying he died in February 1242 in Martirano in Calabria. He's buried in the Cathedral of Cosenza. So it was 7 years later that he allegedly committed suicide. Now this is a stone house built in the 13th century. There's an historical museum in there, which I will come back to. Oh, and look, this little post has more stuff on it. So this is a list of the various Holy Roman Emperors and Staufers who were in Wimpfen. Emperor Frederick I Barbarossa, Emperor Henry VI, that was the father of Frederick II and the son of Barbarossa, Emperor Frederick II, and King Heinrich VII. That's the guy who rebelled against Fred. It's something about Wilhelm von Wimpfen Staufischer, who I guess probably was the Castellan here. Now this side of this post seems to be saying that they liked King Henry VII. Fidelium nostrovum universum hominum de Wimpina. It seems to say fidelity and honor to the universal man of Wimpfen, or something, major and minor. I'm not sure exactly what that means. It's in Latin. German Latin, as Marion Vanderloo used to say. Alright, so I'm going to start off in that Giganto. I think I read somewhere that the thing was hit by lightning and they had to replace the top or something like that. Anyway, let's go take a look. So this is the Blue Tower, built in 1200. I don't know if I can make it to the top. We'll see how far I can make it. So when this was built, Fred was what, 6 years old, living down in Sicily. At your own risk. Because I'm sure it was used as a castle keep. Now as you walk through this castle, it's clear that they have preserved it. They put bolts through the walls to stiffen them. They've also put this modern staircase here. I don't know how people originally got up. It was probably a stone staircase. Over here talks about the history. Before 1200, it was erected. Since the 15th century. I guess they put the cupola or whatever you call that on the top. 16th century. In 1874, they put a Baroque tower on it. In 1848, looks like they further modified the tower. And then in 1984, there was extensive damage due to lightning, and they put it back together as it existed in 1851. There's the bell from the bell tower of 1851. This is cool. Conveniently arranged chairs to sit on. Take a break, but this is clearly a winch for bringing stuff up from the bottom, which makes sense. This says Gedenktafel. Oh, it's talking about how the clock was destroyed. The clock tower was destroyed in 1984. Looks like they put it back in 85. And this is a memorial plaque. Here they changed the stairs. Up until now, it was free, but I had to pay €2. Actually, well worth it. Here's a little museum. Oh look, it's one of the old tops. Oh look, we're in the tower. How about that? Is that cool or what? This place smells like somebody's attic. Oh, look here. Yes. Whoa. It is nice to be the emperor. You can sit out here in your tower. Look, there's another castle way off in the distance. You can survey, see the knights and whatnot. Anybody who has a mind to attack your tower, you can see miles and miles away. And look here. This is interesting. There's some old graffiti that has been scratched in here over the years. Let's see if anybody left a date. Not seeing one. But there's a guy named Fritz. There's one from 1805. Somebody left his name. That's cool. All kinds of names up here. Not seeing any dates. It looks like 38. Don't know if that's 19 or 1838. I hope it focused. Did it focus? Yeah, kinda, sorta. Well, let's go over here. Whoop. So you can also look out over your town. Every one of these castles, of course, had a town affiliated with it. Although, like I said, you can see the outlines of the castle on an aerial map, and some of these houses here are within the original confines of the castle. Boy, am I glad I came here. I was second guessing myself at first, but not now. This is so cool. View over to the church, and I think the town square is down there somewhere, maybe over there. Oh, Freddy. Mein Held. So this is one of the little side towers. And by the way, this is slate, in case you're wondering what that is. Slate tiles. Good against everything but cannonballs and foot-long hailstorms. This is so cool. I'm looking back over the Neckar River, and actually, to give you a sense of this, it looks like this, and this is a thing to hold a flag. Looks like there was once windows here. These were closable, like storm windows or something. Well, this is my second Fred castle. I've been by a lot of them, in two of them. Although he didn't build this one. Barbarossa built this one. And there goes a cargo ship up the Neckar River. You see the guy down there on the deck. He's washing it off. Beautiful day in October. Beautiful, beautiful day. Look how green the fields are around here in October. I don't want to leave this place, but I have to because I got to go look at the other tower and the historical museum. There are some pictures of it. Looks like it was on fire after being hit by lightning. Crazy, man. Okay, one more time around, and then I gotta go. Excuse me? Uh-oh. Okay, I was blocked back there by a bunch of German ladies who are touring together. And here we go. I said to them, because they were blocking my way, I said, "Zu viel Frauen." They laughed. Ooh, look, 1951, my birth year, HL. Maybe that guy was here on my birthday. Okay, now the trip down. This may be, in some ways, the harder part, because if you stumble on the way down, it's nicht gut. Look at that. That's the kitty cat who lives here. Or used to live here, Tom Tom. Friedrich. Bye-bye. Alright, well, you get the picture. I'll just show one shot looking down to the bottom. That's not too far. Actually, this thing looks taller from the outside than when you're walking up. There's the stone house. One parting shot. Okay. This is it. The Kaiserpfalz Imperial Palace of Wimpfen. Built 1150 to 70 under Barbarossa. You can see where the towers were. And this shows you what's left. Number one is the blue tower where we were. Number two is the Stein house, the stone house behind us. Then there's the Palace Arcade, where we're going next. That's the one with the pillars. And the Red Tower. So, and then there's a third tower, the Ritterturm. And here's a short history, but I'll take a still of this one. So here's some more arcade that for this one you gotta pay to get in, and it's locked. But I know I can see why. It's because all these are originals. Every one of them. Whereas some of these, anyway, are not. So this is actually the palace part. This is where Barbarossa, Heinrich VI, the Emperor Heinrich VI, King Heinrich VII, the traitor, and Frederick II, Hohenstaufen would all been up here looking over their empire. It's so cool being here. There's another shot of it. Too much sunlight in back of it. But, and you can see over top of the arcade. And there's the Palace Chapel, which unfortunately is not open. Boo-hoo. Still, climbing that big tower was cool, and seeing the arcade was beyond cool. So I found out on my trip that I'm having to relearn how to use my camera. I've been doing astrophotography so long I've forgotten the settings on this camera. Here's another one of those little pillars like they have on the arch up there. Okay, so this is the little museum in the stone house. And interestingly, I didn't know this. On this floor, it's all dedicated to Roman finds. This town was here in the Roman days, and they've excavated it. Actually, here they're showing the plan of the city. I'm not sure which side of the river we're on, but that's interesting. I don't know if that's in Tal or up here. The Neckar is going that way. We can figure it out from there. Look at this. Roman sewer pipe. Very interesting. So they found a whole house. Huh. 26 meters long and 10 meters wide. That's pretty big. Roman bricks. Isn't this interesting? Look at that. Who knew? Sylvanus. A little statue of somebody. Stott Genius. How about that? The genius of the city. Huh. This is a nice little exhibit of Bronze Age, Stone Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age stuff found here. Crazy, man. And there's a map. I took a still of that showing where things have been found. I don't imagine this is the original wood, but presumably it's historically accurate. Look at the size of those. Those beams, goodness gracious. And of course that's got to be pretty much the original stonework. Okay, so this is an exhibit on the second floor. Wimpfen in the Middle Ages. And over there, looks like they brought some of those pillars in for safekeeping. Like I said, it looked like some of them out there were reproductions, but here's the originals. We'll take a look at those in a minute. Here's all the kings of the Middle Ages. Friedrich I Barbarossa, Henry VI, Philip of Schwaben, Otto IV, ooh, he was the evil one. He was Fred's enemy. Frederick II. Now that King Philip was actually a regent for Fred during his young years, because Fred was born in 1194, 1196, I can never get it right. And then Henry VII, king, that's the little shit son. And Conrad IV unfortunately died. The popes wiped out the Stauffers, pretty much. Here's some medals. These look like reproductions. I'm not sure. One thing is for sure, if they were originals, they ought to have them under lock and key and alarmed. Now these paintings on the wall, this house belonged to the mayor, of course, and he put these paintings on the wall in the 15th century. And this was a reception room. But you know that our boy Friedrich was in here once or twice. And here's an old print of the complete set of pillars. And here we are with these originals. I'm glad they brought them in. Now, the thing to understand about these Kaiser falses, these imperial palaces. It's not like they actually lived. These early Holy Roman emperors didn't really live in these places. They walked around the kingdom on their horses, rode around the kingdom, and would stay here or stay there. So it looks like they've actually listed the times when they visited. So for example, 1212 to 1250, Frederick II was here 7 times. Once with Henry VI as dad. Looks like they're saying they stopped with 21 retainers. Rudolph of Habsburg was once King Adolf of Nassau, once Henry VII, once in 1308 to 1313. So really, they didn't visit here too often. The most important thing that happened here was the famous meeting with little Henry. I wonder where. Must have been in the church that he made him lie on the floor for 3 or 4 hours. Okay, so this is looking from the back. So this is called the stone house, but obviously this thing, when built, was built with big banquets in mind. This is a huge room. So I'm sure that my boy Fred and his dad Henry VI were here a time or 3, right in this room. Right in this room. Now this is a nice piece. Very nice piece. This is from the scepter. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Yes. Frederick II. I don't know how they got it up here. The sign says it was probably made in southern Italy. And I don't think it's a reproduction. Oh, it is a reproduction. The original is in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. Well, I guess I'm going to have to go see the original. Anyway. Darn, because I hate New York, but if Fred's scepter is there, I'm going to have to go. So this is a description of the meeting on 2nd July, 1235. How the Kaiser arrived with wagons laden with gold and silver, purple, gems, costly things, camels, dromedaries, leopards, etc., etc. Friday was something else. And then it talks about the suicide of Henry VII and how the Emperor Frederick II let him be buried with kingly honors in Cosenza. So this is the pillar from the chapel, the one we saw. And they brought the original in here, which is probably a good idea to preserve it. Let's take a look at these frescoes from the 15th century. They're actually very interesting. The Wild Man, I forget, the Green Man. He's a recurring figure in art. And here's another one. I think he's called the Green Man. But he's just this wild thing. He's kind of like Bigfoot, and you get right down to it. Look at that club. Yes, that is so cool. Oh, here we go. Look. Ha! The Wild Man picture. Crazy. Now that's what I call a great beer. This is a Stauffer Museum. It's amazing. All this stuff about the Stauffers, also known as the Hohenstaufen. All kinds of Stauffen memorabilia. Barbarossa games. So cool. Barbarossa is supposed to be sleeping in a cave, ready to save Germany. Actually, that legend started out with Frederick II. He was supposed to come back and save Germany, but somehow it got transmuted to Barbarossa. This is so cool. And over here, this is a whole diorama of the life of the Hohenstaufen. And about all I can do is roll it slowly. Oh, that's cool. The crowning of Barbarossa in Aachen. Barbarossa married. I'm going to start this. This is the timeline. Frederick of Swabia marries Agnes of Wabling. By the way, we've been up to the Hohenstaufen ruins. All right, the Königswalds Wimpfen. That's where we are. Here, King Conrad III dies in Bamberg, and the barons choose Frederick I Barbarossa. High festival in Mainz. Barbarossa is crowned in Aachen as king, and down in Rome as the Kaiser. Barbarossa marries Beatrix von Burgund. Barbarossa is crowned in Pavia. We've been in the church where that happened, also, as the king of the Lombards. Mailand in Flammen, the burning of Mailand. Barbarossa meets the Pope. Barbarossa on crusade. Frederick II, now in front of Lake Constance. He comes back with all these exotic animals to Wimpfen. The Pope bans him, Frederick II. He meets St. Francis. We'll get a close-up of that, meeting St. Francis. And then Manfred is killed at Benevento. Friedrich II dies. These are not in strict chronological order. And then lastly, the last of the Hohenstaufens, is beheaded by Charles of Anjou. Yeah, that's okay. Well, it's not okay, but... Oh, look, there's the castle, Castle Del Monte of Frederick. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I wonder where I could get one of these. Crazy. So that's an artist's conception of the Hohenstaufen Castle. We've been there and seen the ruins, like I said. So, at the Kloster Lorch, we went right by that. Lorch was on the other side of the river. We went up the Rhine. Doggone it. There's this fabulous painting from 2002 of the history of the Hohenstaufen, and this is a reproduction of it. That is so cool. I gotta see if I can find one on the internet. No matter what it costs, I gotta have it. Well, this is interesting. This is a compilation of how many times the various emperors visited various places. Frederick II. Now, this is only in Germany. It doesn't include Italy, obviously. So, Frederick II was at Aachen 3 times. Hagenau 25 times. A lot of these places no longer exist. And of course, Frederick spent most of his time in Italy. Here's the genealogy of Henry VII. Boo. His mother was Constance of Aragon. Now, you can see her grave in Palermo. She's buried with Frederick II. So is, by the way. So, he's buried in Palermo. She's buried in Palermo. He's buried in Palermo. He's in Cosenza. And she's buried in Palermo also. So this is like a Stauffer shrine. I mean, they've got pictures from 19th century books. They have various posters. Here's a whole library of Hohenstaufen stuff. Look, there's even a book about Manfred. Stauffer literature. This is wild. It is wild. Oh, is that the murder of Conrad? And not sure, but anyway, look, here's Castel Del Monte, a little model. Oh, goodness gracious. Falcons, which of course is Conrad's bird. Now this is allegedly a picture of Frederick with Bianca Lancia. She bore him 3 children, I think, 4 children, a couple girls, Manfred and Enzio. Why am I into this so much? It's bizarre. Oh, my goodness. Is this the coolest museum ever or what? But how do I get to Lorch? Okay, so that brings us to the Red Tower, the other good chunk of Hohenstaufen goodness in this town. And to put you in perspective, if you take a right at that house where those people are, take a right and go up the street, and that's where the museum was. And where, keep going on that street and you run into the Blue Tower. But right now we're going to go in the Red Tower. And of course it's proceed at your own risk. It's not safe. I shouldn't go up there. It may not be safe. Unfortunately, the Red Tower is closed, but that's okay. I got to go to the Blue Tower. Now I saw something interesting. Where did it get to? Where was this thing? Well, there's a graffito from 1824. Somebody scratched his name, M.W., whoever M.W. was. It's immortalized. So looking from here, over there's the Blue Tower. That's the one I climbed up. There's the Neckar River with a pleasure boat coming down. We're going to figure out where that Roman city was. I think it was on this side over here. Look, there's a balloon off in the distance. It's real hard for this camera to focus on an object like that. So I don't know what that little thing is, unless it's some kind of a little lookout tower within the tower. Who knows? Maybe they put people out there for punishment. This is one crazy place. But don't think that this was a regular residence of the Hohenstaufen. It wasn't. Barbarossa built castles all over Germany so that as he went from place to place, he always had a safe place. And then he'd, let his friends run the castles in his absence. There's a nice view of the Blue Tower over there. Well, I have a bit of a problem. This town is about a 3-hour town, but what a wonderful 3 hours. It's 4:14. I haven't checked in at my hotel. And the issue is, what am I going to do for the rest of the day? I guess I wait for it to get dark and then I'll roam around this town in the dark. I bought a book about this town. There's more to see than just the Stauffer, so I'll roam around. Also, there's that little guardhouse down there. I haven't been down there yet, but because there were a couple of people standing down there talking. Let's find out what it is. It's really interesting. These slate roofs. I bet that slate roofing lasts for 100 years, unless it gets hit with mega hailstones. Now this little tower has a slit. I guess you could shoot a crossbow out there, or a gun. Little observation platform. You could also shoot a crossbow or a gun out of that, but track it. Okay, there's another observation spot. And a little weapon slit. I'm not sure I had the button depressed properly a minute ago. So I think my hotel is down there on that street. I'm gonna go find out. I'm gonna go check in, and then I'll go back and get some stuff out of my car. Okay, one last little piece of Hohenstaufen stuff, and that is the Hohenstaufen Tower, built in 1220 according to the sign. Obviously it's an entrance to the castle. There's the little sign for it. And here's the exterior of the Hohenstaufen Tower. So like I said, this town, at least the inside part of it, was defined by the castle. And the outside part, of course, built up over the years outside the castle. So my guess is if that's original tower, that's doubtless some original wall too, or at least building materials from the original wall. My guess is it's original wall. And who knows what this wall is or what it dates to. So while at the museum, I got this handy dandy little brochure, a walk through the historic town, and it refers to the Hohenstaufen Turm as the castle gate, the main castle gate. So there was probably another one over by the Blue Tower, but this was certainly the more accessible one. This, by the way, is the entrance to the town. Little sentry box there. And you see that sign, Gasthof Traube, that's where I'm staying. I'm gonna go sign in. So I checked into this place about, I don't know, hour 90 minutes ago or so. What a fabulous place. It's an old style guest house. First beer was free. And then they have this fridge full of beer, and they just ask you to pay for it if you take one on the honor system. You know, this is probably the coolest part thus far of this little visit to Deutschland. This place is unreal. Bad Wimpfen. I'm going to the Hohenstaufen restaurant for some home cooking. I'll show you what it's like. This place kind of reminds me of Rothenburg Ob der Taube, except it was never bombed in the war, and it's not a Turisto Trappo. This place is really amazing. Says don't drink the water. But that's pretty cool. Anyway. I mean, check out this little thing here. It's an amazing house. I mean, this stuff is, they've kept their half-timbered stuff. They probably have a building code that requires it, but it's not like this place was destroyed in the war. It has only gotten better. I mean, look at this beautiful little city park. Very cool. Not that I'm a park guy, but this is a nice park. Your dog up here. Keep your dogs on a leash. Auf der Friedhof. What have we here? I'm gonna turn it off. I'll pick it up at the end. Look at this. A beautiful shrine, or what's left of it, because the Savior's legs have been knocked off, broken off. Some graves. Somebody died in 1830. These must have been leaders of the town to get buried in the park. Who could take the time to read all that Latin? They really ought to fix that. Another proceed at your own risk sign. I love it. These Germans aren't like wussy Americans. We're not safe. We're sue you. We're not safe. No, they say proceed at your own risk. If you fall, break your neck, it's too bad for you. Now this beautiful little church is the Protestant church, the evangelical church. This thing was built in 1492, and of course I'm sure it was an RC church before the Reformation. Apparently there's a tomb inside of a guy who was killed at the Battle of Wimpfen in the 30 Years' War. I'll have to get my 30 Years' War books out and find out about the Battle of Wimpfen. Unfortunately, this place is closed and doesn't open until 10 tomorrow, so I won't be able to see the inside. Here's some more of this church from 1492. Now, next to it is a crucifixion group that dates to about 1517. Very interesting. Obviously it's fallen on hard times, but look at the expressions of the Madonna and thief number one, thief number two, who is basically dressed in 1517 dress. Isn't that interesting? And there's the Savior. That's probably Magdalene, I'm guessing, underneath there. But this thing is definitely a whole lot worse for wear. I'm just amazed by the thief. That's got to be the bad thief, because this thief has an angel above his head. But who knows, this thing is so chopped up. And there's the whole group. Now, the post says 1551. The guidebook says 1517. Here's more of the evangelical church. I would love to go inside, but like I said, it doesn't open until 10 in the morning, so it's probably not going to be possible. Now this is just a view of the square from just by the church. And there's the twin spires of the church. Okay, so there's the Lutheran church. But something else caught my eye next to the Lutheran church. There's a guest house. I'll show you that in a minute. I'll move back from it so you can see it better. That's what I wanted to show you. It's a Gast house, in other words, a hotel. That was the headquarters of General Tilly in 1622 during the 30 Years' War. Tilly was the Catholic general who famously slaughtered the Protestants in Magdeburg. Famously, I say. I'll have to double check that, but I think I'm right. So if that was Tilly's headquarters, there must have been a major battle here that I've forgotten about, because I'll tell you, in the 30 Years' War there were loads of battles. And lastly, there's City Hall, the Rathaus. That obviously doesn't date back to the Hohenstaufen, so let's go back and look at the Lutheran church again. There is a Catholic church here in town, obviously, but it's over there to my left a couple blocks, and there's just a view down the street into the setting sun. I'm not sure I mentioned the Rathaus is right next to the Blue Tower. Now there's an interesting thing you don't see in the States. An animal ambulance. Tierrettungsdienst. Animal rescue unit, or service rather.